to adjust everything, I'm so short. Oh. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Record of attendance, Linda, you're good. Any declarations of conflict of interest, anyone? And approval of agenda, any additions or deletions? I just want to change one thing we have, which was supposed to be added. I don't know how it didn't get on there. The art gallery one that we have in there, a separate package. So Carol, you want it to just say a couple words, so we'll just get you, we'll move you ahead a little bit. Okay? Might be a couple minutes. Maybe we'll do A, B, and then if nobody argues, because it's just 2 minutes, right? Just a couple minutes. Yeah. Okay. So we can do C, 5C. I'll just book Carol, and then it's done. All right. Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would make the motion to accept the agenda as presented with the additions.
Okay. Seconder? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Questions been called? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. So we'll start with presentations. RCMP. Welcome, Chief.
Hello. Did everybody get a copy of it?
I believe that's attached. Yeah. Just have to dig it out. So we all have that in front of us. So,
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for having me there. So everybody got a copy of the report. Before I provide you with an update on our current situation and some of our initiatives and priorities for 2016, is there any question in relation to our 2015 operations in the report? No?
no, looks good.
Okay, good. We had a hard year on our human resources last year. This year, I anticipate very little changes. I think it's going to be only 2 transfer. This spring, one has already happened. Constable Barclay was transferred to British Columbia, and Constable Cook will be transferred to Moncton in July. Both members have been, their replacement have been named. Constable Bartlett's replacement starts next week, and it's a member from Yarmouth Royal Detachment. And Constable Cook's replacement is a member from Nunavut that will take, doesn't have a house for sale because it's in the RCMP quarter up in Nunavut, and should be in place at the end of July, beginning of August. So I don't anticipate vacancy in relation to those transfers. So it should help us for the summer and to cover the shift. We still have a member on long-term medical leave. It was off most of the 2015, and we're still on leave, and I don't anticipate this to be resolved in the near future. So we're carrying this vacancy off the shift. Well, I have a member also on gradual return to work, means that person is on limited duty, cannot cover the regular duty, but comes to work 4 hours a day, Monday to Friday. And we also have a member still on operation restriction. That person works 40 hours a week, but cannot be operational on the schedule as well. So we have those 2 positions that cannot be put on our patrols. With regard to our building, we really like our new location. It's working well. However, this year I will be seeking some investment from the town in relation to the building. I have already indicated this through the police advisory board, but we'll need the facility to store large items. We don't have any storage facility for bicycle, four-wheelers, and any exhibits, evidence that we see are large. At our old location, we used to have a garage that we put those things in, and we still use that garage right now. But it's not really practical, and for safety reasons, especially there's exhibits in there for courts and stuff like that, we'd like to have something on our site. I understand that Public Works took over a whole location, and they really like to have our garage to do what they do. I submitted this week a proposal maybe for a temporary solution. Will be a container we can purchase, install until something more permanent be built. That's something that I'd like to have fairly soon, so we can move on with that. Another thing too, there'll be, we would like to have a place where our suspect they will rest. We don't have a place where they can call their lawyer privately. The rooms that we have are all recorded to interview the suspect and things like that. So we need to redesign a little bit the inside there to accommodate that. I don't expect this to be a really, we already have a room, we'll just have to put a better door and some soundproofing. So that's something I'd like to get some prices and submit to get some investment in relation to that building, to that issue. And also, I'm looking at some security equipment for our building. Right now, our building is alarmed, and inside it's fully secure, but we have a lot of assets in the parking lot and our own personal vehicle in there. And because of our location, I'd like to have some video recording equipment outside. And again, I'll be seeking some investment in relation to that. Because the nature of our work and the where we're located, it's like an island. We're surrounded by trails and roads and streets, and there's just a matter of time when those things, we have damage to our stuff. So beside that, the building is working very well. This year, I'd like to mention that the auxiliary program has been suspended by the RCMP. That's an issue nationwide. They suspend all operation in relation to the auxiliary program. At Yarmouth Town Detachment, we have 5 auxiliary constables that were really active, and they really supported our operation. They were a real part of our operation, and we lost that. The reason is there was an auxiliary shot last year in Alberta, and since then they reviewed the program, and they took off all the auxiliary constables off the road, and they will make an official announcement in June. And basically what's going to happen is they won't be allowed to come with us at all on the road or be operational at all in any type of things like traffic duties or anything like that. If they do help us, it would be mostly inside the office with some administration duties. So for us, it's a big loss. We depended on them for, well, they were doubling up on patrol with us, mostly on the weekends. They were helping us for parades, special events, traffic duties, guarding scene, and so on. So it's a big loss, and we can absorb some of it through overtime and changing a little bit of our staffing, our schedule. But for special event, we're not going to be able to provide what we used to be able to do. It's mostly like for parades and so on, and special event. And some of those things will come at cost, and we are really looking at solution. And when this thing will come official in June, with the list of their exact duty, that they'll be their new job description, I have the intention to propose to the town a partnership to have our auxiliary constable becoming over like the umbrella of the town as a special constable to assist us with those operations, like for the parade and special events. And so I already started preparing a business case for this, but that will be coming this year, in this coming year.
So, Michelle,
Yes.
so is there anything ongoing to stop that announcement in June? In other parts of the country, other parts of, I mean, I got a
There's-
bunch of emails and phone calls, and I know
There-
the value of it.
There's a lot of pushback, and especially out west, in
Okay.
British Columbia and Alberta. They were even bigger than here as far as their involvement in the operation. I mean, when the shift supervisors were making the shift, they were putting auxiliary constable, and they were part of the shift. Here it's totally voluntary, but guys would show up mostly on the weekends and help us with when bar closed and all this stuff. We had more people. There's pushback there, but I would be really, really surprised that that's changed for the liability issues and so on, and the way things are going. With the military member that was killed in Ottawa, he was unarmed when that happened. And they look at all those volunteers, and there's a big wind of change coming with that type of duties. And from what I see right now and I hear, it's not, they're not coming back with us on the road. So that's why I'd like to be proactive with this and come up with some kind of thing. Not coming with us and work with us in the car as a peace officer and assist us with the rest, but for traffic controls and do some security in private and public events, it would really help us and to support our operation. And
Okay.
that's something I will be preparing this year.
Good.
And to conclude, our priorities for this year, every year we have priorities that we set up for our operation. I'm not really ambitious as far as our priorities this year, taking in consideration that we're operating with 3 members off the schedule right now, and that should be go on for some time. But really, one of our priorities is to reduce property crime by 2%. And how we're going to do this is, and it's already working, we're going to make a priority. The CSO checks the people on conditional sentence order. Basically, they're on house arrest. We make a point to go see them almost daily, after hours. And we've been checking on them, and we make sure they stay home. It's kind of a legal harassment, if you want, but it's really working. We have seen already a decrease in the last quarter in our property crime, and we're going to continue to do this. We're doing checkpoints at various hours of the night, at all kind of little street here and there during quiet hours to monitor the travel of the youth, mostly, that walks around the town in the middle of the night. We also have an analyst making reports on all of property crime that occur in this area, and he makes report monthly, and based on that report, I can base my priorities on our operational action. Also, my next priority is road safety. We're going to target this year and do initiative to target impaired drivers and distracted drivers, again through checkpoints and special patrol with unmarked vehicle. This is not new. We do this every year, but we're going to keep doing this because this is where people get hurt. And again, those are our priorities, and we keep track of those monthly.
I'm trying to figure out why I can't have a cell phone, but the guy behind me can have his dog in his lap.
Well, you can drive with a coffee in your hand and a donut. And
Right?
Technically,
Hey,
it's
the
not.
coffee and the donut works.
Yeah, but yeah, But I guess what we're trying to detect the most is texting and driving.
Yeah.
It's all distracted driving, but
Yeah.
those are hard to see because you don't see the unit. It's down on your lap and most of the time. But this is where we're trying to intercept the most and educate the people, especially at the high school level and so on. This is where we spend most of our time. We're having some initiative in relation to prevention. It's mostly cybercrime presentation to youth and parents. And we're going to be working with the media, develop a strategy to do some public announcement. And we'll also have a youth cybercrime awareness committee that we're going to be creating at the high school. And lastly, what couple of our other priorities that we do during the week, most days during the week, we have members patrolling the school zone between 7 and 9 o'clock in the morning. If we're not too busy with other operation, this is where we spend our time. And we've seen a real decrease in complaints from the school in relation to school bus violations and all kind of other things that we used to have. So it's really making a difference. We're going to try to increase our foot patrol downtown and on the trails this summer, mostly, when school's over. And those are things that we keep track also. So I'll have numbers every quarters to show to the Police Advisory Board. Those are our priorities. But again, when you look at our shift, we have 12 constables providing a shift coverage on a 24/7 shift coverage. That's four teams of three. Most of the time it's two because of everything else going on. So doing all those proactive things, we do it when we can because we have over 3,000 calls a year to respond to beside all that. So when my members come to work, they are about 3 or 4 days behind their work all the time. So our time is limited. And again, those are our priorities that we'll try to do when we can. And we pick at it as we go. I'd like to spend more time. I'd like to ask for more members, but I know it's not realistic. So the crime change, if you look in the report, hasn't changed much for the last few years. There's no big trend. There's no crisis. It's pretty well the same. It's getting better a little bit every year, and we're going to try to keep doing this. And that's about it for me.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions, Deputy?
Just a comment. Michelle, does that mean that you won't be with me in my corner at the triathlon this coming August?
I won't be there.
Won't be there.
I'll be in town if there's one in town.
He's been with me for several years now as we keep traffic, keep the riders
But that's an
safely.
example where all the volunteers there, a lot of them were auxiliary constable. They're not going to be there this year. So they're going to have to try to find more volunteers for that. And that's going to be very problematic for them because half the people there were RCMP volunteer. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a really good example of what we're facing with. Like this weekend, there's the military wants to do a little parade there in town. Well, it's going to be either I have to go and do it myself or trying to find someone on overtime to do it because there's no volunteer. Right?
So even though you mentioned it or reinforced it twice, Mayor Mood suggests there's no way for us to push back that would maybe change the decision, or you're
I don't know how much power you have with Ottawa, but this is where this is where it's coming from. It's
Okay.
bigger than Yarmouth and Nova Scotia. It's done at the national level, and there's a lot of you read the editorials and there's article about people complaining about this and so on. But I doubt this will be reversed. There will have to be a huge movement to try to turn that.
I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you very much, Your Worship, and thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. Would you have any suggestions for any reasonable replacements for this loss? Because there are many nonprofit organizations, many organizations that already have their events planned for the summer. And they're depending and they're hoping on having this backup and this support. And for many of them, this is going to be news. And it may just affect the fact that maybe some of their events will not be taking place. Do you have any suggestions for them and for us to pass on to them?
The suggestion I brought up today would be like a permanent position, solution that we can work together and have some kind of a partnership here. I don't know, I was thinking with Public Works having put up barricades, and the barricades would be manned by the special constable that work for the town, not for us. They could be volunteer for the town, but they won't under the umbrella of the town as for liability issue, because the RCMP don't want to take that liability anymore.
Yes, all right.
So that would be a thing that we can work together. Now, for this summer, can we have this ready for the summer? Yeah, well, I don't think we can be ready for that unless the town would like to move very, very quickly with that. I'm willing to move as well.
You suggesting we're slow?
Well, you're probably much faster than we are, all right? But you want to do this well.
We do.
And I'd like to have a real partnership, and our members, if they would work for the town, they could carry our radio, because they're still auxiliary constable.
Yeah.
They're security clear. There's people that we can trust and we can communicate with them, because they could have a radio. So it would work very well. But again, they have to be able, the town will have to look at, I'm sure it's not that simple. Okay, here's the pickup truck, the keys, the barricade, and you cover it through us, and we'll go do the work and so on. Some work has to be done. Some papers have to be prepared for that, I would assume. And I don't think it's going to happen very quickly. So when the demand will come, my idea to deal with them this year is that, can you afford private security? Can we afford, how are we going to do this? And we'll try to work with them to make it work, but it may not work for everybody. You know, there's some, like I said, there's some stuff I just do myself with some volunteers organization, or the armories here, and the cadets and all that stuff. I don't mind helping them, but I just can't do it every day. So we'll work with them this summer. Hopefully we'll have something this year that we can work long-term.
Yeah. Councillor Dennis?
Mayor Mood or CAO, I'm just not sure. Is that something that the UNSM can work on as well?
Yeah,
Could we make a motion for them to look into it?
they can, but they're aware of it.
Okay.
They're from me.
Oh, okay.
They're aware of it from me, but, I mean, we can always do that, but, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Okay, we have Clean Energy Program. Thanks, Michelle.
So I do have a PowerPoint, so is it okay if I use that computer?
Sure.
Your worship, may I?
Certainly. Just don't run. Strip ball, punch your hand. There's no panic.
Perfect.
Technology never works when you need it to. I used the stick before I came, so it worked.
You're correct. Thank you.
It's actually a real stick how it pops. When I, after I bought it, you have to push it here. There we go. I realized that this isn't a very good setup. Oh, it's doing something on this side. Oh, there we go. It should come up now. Thank you.
Good, hopefully. Good. Don't know if I'm gonna drool, choke, spit, or just enjoy my candy.
I think it's coming. I don't know if that's blocking it or something.
I know.
It is a PowerPoint presentation. It was good. It's a beautiful day. It's very nice out. My parents live in Annapolis now, so I came down for the night and came that way this morning. They live in Wilmington, so just again. Oh, okay, thanks. Feels like spring's finally here. To open, isn't it? Oh, I think we're there. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Just goes back.
I'm right here. Good to go?
What's happened? I went to make it like a slideshow and then.
Carol, do you want to just do what you have to do now, and then while they're setting up?
Oh,
Sorry. Sorry about that.
yeah, go for it.
2 seconds, we can stand.
Yep, come on right up here.
Thank you.
Okay, come right up
So you can-
here.
Yep, there. Good, perfect.
So long as we can hear you then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
I'm in the, over through the stream.
Do you want the microphone?
No, we're good. It's good. Okay.
So we're really just here, you already have the presentation from Dave Gorman, is that correct? On the Art Gallery Gala, so there's just one thing that we wanted to make sure that was clear, which he said he didn't think was clear, was, we're having a red carpet entrance to the art gallery. And so our first option was shag carpeting that was about 4 inches thick.
I mean, I think it's a great idea, and they need a way to, they've always needed a way to get that attention to that art gallery door, because those beautiful front doors aren't the way, so,
Yes, no,
yeah,
they aren't,
yeah.
and now those beautiful front doors are being painted the same color as the facade. So they aren't doors, and now they don't
Yeah.
look like they were doors.
No, exactly. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask the CAO, do we need, does our our traffic authority need to do anything with that? No, it's not a roadway, we're good, so we can just make a motion to allow the painting of a red carpet in Alma Square. On the understanding that they will maintain it. Yes.
Friends of the Art Gallery will maintain.
Okay, Councillor
Ongoing.
Goss?
And it's
Ongoing.
painted, by the way, by all local artists. Everybody will have a geometric square that they're painting. on.
Awesome.
So they can either sign it or not, but it'll be a piece of art.
Excellent. Councillor Dodge, you're on.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I was going to make that motion, and I hope, Linda, did you get that? So
Okay.
I
Do you have
don't
a
have to
seconder?
reword it again. Thank
Second
you.
by Sandy. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Done. Thanks for waiting, ladies.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. On another note, the doors are starting to come into the art gallery, so we do invite,
Yeah.
yes,
And they're looking beautiful. Please come along and come.
I've seen one of them.
one special one.
Thank you, ladies.
Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
So welcome, Amy Brown.
Thank you.
And you have a presentation for us.
I do. So
Good.
town staff had invited me to present, so thanks for having me. So first off, like Pam had said, my name is Amy Brown. I've worked for Efficiency Nova Scotia for the last 4 years, and my main role is designing, implementing, and administering financing programs for homeowners to complete energy efficiency upgrades in their home. So that kind of leads into what we're talking about today, which is a concept called PACE, but stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy. And what it is, it's a program, like a financing mechanism, that allow municipalities, by passing a bylaw, to borrow funds to residents within the community to complete energy efficiency upgrades on their home, and that they pay back through a local improvement charge.
You have to, sorry. You have to say that again. Who borrows the money?
Homeowners borrow it from the municipality. Yes. So the town, sorry.
Okay.
So the way it works is that the program typically uses municipal-derived funds. So where those come from are typically internal funds, if available, or they're borrowed from MFC, so Municipal Finance Board. So what that happens is the program allows residents to complete energy efficiency upgrades on their home and pay it back, typically up to 10 years, through a local improvement charge. So the way it works is that it stays with the property, not the homeowner. So homeowners put that on their home, and if they move, the next person that moves into that property takes ownership of that local improvement charge. So the person living there is benefiting from the energy savings. So this is not a new concept. It's been happening in the United States, mainly in California, for quite some time. It's fairly new to Canada. So there has been a couple programs. So we did a pilot project with Richmond County back in 2014 that was canceled in May of 2015, which I'll get into more in the next slide about that and kind of some lessons learned from that program. Another one you're probably familiar with, which is well known in Nova Scotia as HRM's Solar City. So it was the first large-scale PACE program that was successful in Canada. They have had over 300 participants and are actually in the process of launching a Solar City 2.0, which will include additional measures such as solar PV. Toronto launched a program back in 2014, and their council approved a $20 million budget for this program. So that's been launched and is running, and actually won the 2016 Sustainable Award winner from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And then recently, the District of the Municipality of Guysborough County has signed on with us as our first municipality to sign on for our new program, and their program is going to be launching within the next month or so, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Richmond pilot, but it was launched in May. It was canceled in May of 2015 due to low participation. So it wasn't successful in regards to participation numbers, but for us it was a pilot, so it was really good to take a lot of lessons learned from there to figure out how we can go back to the drawing board and make a bigger and better program. So what we learned from that program is a few things. That one, a PACE program is most likely to be successful if it's administered through a centralized service. So for example, like Efficiency Nova Scotia, we can run multiple programs for multiple municipalities, which helps use economies of scales, expertise, and it reduces costs rather than a municipality running a program on their own. One other thing that we learned from that is there needs to be a variety of measures within the program. So Richmond's program only looked at building envelopes, so that's installation, windows, and doors. That doesn't always attract people. HRM Solar City attracted people for solar. So this new program now looks at a variety of measures. So building envelope, heating measures, so centrally ducted heat pumps, mini split heat pumps, wood or pellet measures, and then also looks at solar air and solar thermal. PV is not currently included in this program, and we'll kind of get into why that's not there a little bit further. And then the big thing and the biggest thing that was lesson learned from the Richmond pilot was that there needs to be a champion within the municipality. So the municipality has to really believe in the program and really champion it from in-house to promote it to its residents. So this slide kind of looks at a couple good benefits on why a municipality would even look at doing a PACE program. So for the municipality itself, one, it helps increase the quality of the housing stock within the community. It also helps the municipality be seen as a leader in energy efficiency and conservation. And it helps the community reach sustainability, climate, and energy goals. So a recent study done by PricewaterhouseCoopers found that communities that invest in reducing emissions are wealthier and healthier communities. This program provides a self-sustaining public service that is minimal cost to the municipality, and any funds that are invested into homes that are participating will come back to the municipality. So it's a revolving sustainable fund. It also supports the local economy by potentially allowing contractors within the community to perform the upgrades. And mainly it helps protect your residents. The more money they have in their pockets is the more money they're going to spend in your community. Onto the homeowners, they are really the people that benefit from the program the most. So they get to finance home energy upgrades through a local improvement charge, which is typically at a low competitive rate. They get to learn from a certified energy advisor where to make the smartest upgrades in their home, which will help them get the biggest bang for their buck. If they're an electrically heated home, they'll get to benefit to up to $5,000 worth of rebates from Efficiency Nova Scotia. And ultimately, it improves the comfort and the affordability of their home. The savings are permanent, meaning that every year those savings will reoccur and help reduce their energy costs as the price of energy continues to rise. So I'm going to talk about now kind of how the program works, and it is very high level. So please, at the end, if you have any questions, let me know. So how a homeowner qualifies is typically it is a residential property, so it's owner-occupied or it has to be owned. It's a detached, semi-detached, a row or mobile home. Unfortunately, MURBs or multi-unit family buildings aren't included in the program now. The homeowner, everyone that is on title of the property has to consent to participating in the program. They have to get lender consent from their mortgage holder if they have a mortgage on their property. They have to be in good standing with the municipality, so no property tax or any other property or municipal bills in arrears. And lastly, the upgrades that they choose to complete have to fall within a debt to investment ratio. So what that means is that the upgrades that they plan to do have to either save equal or more in dollars than that you will pay to the municipality yearly. So it puts someone either they're breaking even or saving more money. So the way the process works is the homeowner would register by filling in a registration form, and they would provide that along with their lender consent. Once it's been determined that their bills within the municipality are up to date and not in arrears, they perform a home energy assessment. They review what type of upgrades they're interested in doing. It's determined if those upgrades will meet an savings to investment ratio. And if so, the homeowner decides to go ahead with the upgrades. They sign a customer agreement and they perform the upgrades. Once they're finished the upgrades, they're verified by a certified energy advisor that confirms those upgrades. And any rebates that would be applicable if they were electrically heated would come from that process as well. And then lastly, the municipality would place a local improvement charge on that property that the homeowner then pays back either monthly, biannually, annually, however it's decided that the municipality wants to collect the funds. So what the municipality's role would be in a program like this is providing the upfront capital, which we spoke about before, so either using internal funds or borrowing from MFC to have the money to actually lend to the homeowners. Confirming that a registering homeowner is in good standing with the municipality. And then upon completed projects, applying the appropriate local improvement charge and liens, and also helping to promote the program to residents. So Efficiency Nova Scotia plays a much larger role, and the reason for this is that we recognize that municipalities are already at staffing levels that cannot take on a lot more work. So the part of this is to take the administrative duty off the municipality and for us to take on as much as possible. So we would assist in drafting the bylaw, provide all of the marketing support, all of the forms and program tools, the processing of all applications, disbursement of funds to contractors or homeowners, and invoicing the municipality for the funds that we've paid out, so the payments to the contractors. So lastly, get into the pricing. So we have partnered with the province of Nova Scotia, who strongly supports PACE programs across Nova Scotia. And they've provided us with funding to cover all first-year costs for any municipality that signs onto our program. So first-year costs are $15,000, which covers full program design, implementation, and administration, as well as a full marketing and communication plan. So the province has said that they will cover all of those costs. So virtually the program is free as of year one. If the program is continued into subsequent years, which at the end of year one or end of any subsequent year can be decided if the municipality wants to continue, will have a cost. So $9,000 is quoted there, but that is a variable number. So depending on what is determined at the end of year one or year two or year three on what the municipality needs, that number could go up or down. So for example, if all of the marketing material that was provided in year one, let's say there was material left, and you didn't need marketing material for year two, that number would jump down because the marketing would be removed. So the 9,000's been placed there just as an approximate number, so municipalities are aware that there's a cost, but it is variable and would either increase or decrease depending on what the needs and the goals were of the municipality. On to the second part of the pricing. So typically PACE programs, as they operate, are cost neutral. So they're not costing residents if they're not participating in the program. So by doing that and having that happen, homeowners pay an administration fee to participate in the program. And that administration fee covers all the costs for their application to be processed and to go through the program. So that's how the municipality is not paying for that cost, the homeowner's paying to participate. So that right now is approximately $320. We're looking at trying to drop that as much as we can, but that's the maximum that it would be right now, and that covers the full cost of processing the application, reviewing and approving it, communication with the homeowners, applying all of the rebates, and then also guiding them through any other Efficiency Nova Scotia programs that they would be interested in. So next step, so if the municipality was interested in moving forward with a PACE program, the next steps would be to determine if that's the case or not, and then schedule a meeting to start discussing the goals of the municipality, bylaws, program design, and pricing. So the funding from the province is, there's a pocket of money, so it will go to a first come, first serve. So it's, once the money's gone, the money's gone. So just, that's kind of just like a action item that if you're interested, you should take advantage of it while you can. And that's everything, so if you have any questions.
Yeah, 1,000.
It's a lot of information, I apologize.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not convinced. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So back earlier in your presentation, you went through sort of a qualifying criteria, and I didn't quite catch one part of it, and it talked about, I think, a ratio relative to, can you just repeat that?
Sure.
That piece?
So one of the things that's different about a PACE program than traditional lending is that typically when homeowners are borrowing from a bank per se, they're having a credit check done that qualifies them if they can handle the payment per se. A PACE program doesn't do a credit check. It removes that barrier that some people, as like sometimes they're called like the working poor, may not get approved for a credit check. So that is eliminated in a PACE program. But there's two different mechanisms that are built in to help have a risk mitigation to make sure that you're not borrowing money to people that can't afford it. And one of those is called a savings to investment ratio. So what that means is that we would look at every single upgrade that they're looking to do, and we would calculate what this annual savings would be. We have the ability to do that as we've been running for 5 years, and all of our programs are evaluated by a third party every year. So we would use those savings that we have to calculate what the annual savings would be on that homeowner. And then we look at how much money they would be borrowing from the municipality and what their annual costs payments to the municipality would be. So if they're saving, let's just say $2,000 a year in energy bills, which is not unrealistic, then their annual payment to the municipality must be equal or lower than that. So an example of where this comes into play is a system like solar PV. So there's lots of, it's like the sexy energy efficiency measure right now that everyone is interested in. But a solar PV system currently has a payback of 17 to 18 years. So on its own, a homeowner will not meet that savings to investment ratio, whereas measures such as building envelope would easily meet that. So does that answer your question? It's a little complicated, but it's used as a risk mitigation tool to make sure they're not paying more money to the municipality than they're actually saving.
So does Energy Nova Scotia, I always get letters in the mail.
Yep.
Okay, so you send out letters, and if I want you to come into my home and tell me what's not efficient, you will do that.
Yep.
Is there a cost to that?
So that program, which is
charge me?
built on this platform, is called the Home Energy Assessment. That's a Natural Resource Canada program that's been around since 1998. It is available to electrically heated homes for $99. That is because of the contract that we have. It's a subsidized fee of $99. So that's how much it costs. If you are non-electric, so oil or wood, we don't have that subsidized funding from the province of Nova Scotia to offer it at a discounted rate. So the homeowner that are non-electric do have to pay a higher amount to have an assessment because there's not funding to cover it, but they do have to pay a fee. It's just higher than the $99.
Okay.
It's approximately $300. So until, we had funding for it until, I think it was the budget last year, and then the province took that funding away. So it may come back, but as of now, it doesn't look like it.
Councillor McIsaac?
Thank you. Is there a money limit that you would want the municipality to put up front? Now, you're saying if there's 50 people that want to have,
Yeah.
let's just say, heat pumps, they're both, I paid $3,500 a piece for mine. So you're looking at $7,000 for a, a two-level home. And you could have as high as 3, depends, right?
Yep.
So if you get 50, well, let's just say 50 households that want at least 2, a split one, right? You would want the town to finance those 50
Yes.
Would there be a rate, like an interest rate that they would pay? Did I miss that, or?
Yes, so you're correct that yes, the municipality would borrow the money to the homeowner at an interest rate. So that would be set by whatever the municipality feels comfortable at. So for example, Guysborough, they're using an interest rate of prime +1. That's what they're using, and it will change every year as of April 1st. Whereas HRM chose a fixed interest rate. So it's really at what the municipality wants to choose, but yes, they
Okay.
do charge an interest rate.
Yeah.
And in regards to how much,
Yeah.
that's also a decision for the municipality. Guysborough, for example, is allowing up to $15,000 per home, and they've laid out what their annual budget is, so how many homes they can do a year. Whereas other municipalities are looking at lower amounts, like $7,500 or $10,000. So it really depends on what the municipality's comfortable with borrowing.
Efficiency Nova Scotia, is that government-owned or operated, or is it a private
No,
company?
it's a nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit.
So Efficiency Nova Scotia, I should say, is actually a franchise that is owned by the provincial government, and they award that franchise to a company, which is Efficiency One, who's a nonprofit company. So we hold the franchise for Efficiency Nova Scotia.
So let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Why wouldn't Efficiency Nova Scotia borrow the money and put this project out themselves without putting the municipalities through this? What advantage, other than us financing and take a capital risk and go through the process of putting liens on homes and all the other good stuff? People that can't get loans, as what you said. I mean, I don't see no, I looked at it and I thought it was a great idea, but I really don't see any upswing
Yeah.
other than supplying people monies that can't really get monies because for whatever reasons, or maybe it might be vice versa. But I'm just wondering why Efficiency Nova Scotia wouldn't take this upon themselves rather than to farm this out.
Because being a nonprofit, we can't borrow that large amount of money, and we'd have to have we don't have a way to collect those funds. So we're getting into a type of business that we don't do. We don't collect money from homeowners at all. We have a residential financing program that we offer, which we've partnered with TD Bank, and that's been running for the last 3 years, and we've done over $3 million in loans, but we're using a third-party bank because we have very, very strict guidelines on what we can do as an organization, and lending money to people is not something that we're able to do as part of our legislation and the government.
But things can be changed, legislation, everything can be changed. You want us to implement new bylaws and what have you. So I say this, why couldn't the government or Efficiency Nova Scotia perhaps do the same thing? Throw that back to you.
Exactly, and I think it comes back to we don't have an avenue to collect funding, and that would be we're already very tight-staffed, and our resources are very maxed out, so that would be either asking more people to do things or hiring new people, and we don't have any expertise in collecting payments, and this program is a municipal program. So it's been built on and being offered, and the government supports a municipal program. It's a very different program when you have a nonprofit lending money to homeowners and trying to recoup it. It's very different. We are not able to place liens on people's properties if we let them borrow money, whereas the municipality has the ability to do that.
Okay. Yep, CAO.
So essentially, the program allows for home upgrades to people who are fully in good standing with the municipality. And according to Efficiency Nova Scotia's calculations, doesn't allow them to finance more than the net benefit from those upgrades.
Exactly.
Right, so the risk is kind of managed in that way.
This program is considered to be extremely low risk because, one, the municipality is deciding yes or no if I'm going to borrow to you. And if you have a homeowner that's been in arrears multiple times, you might make a decision not to borrow to them. Also, because of the calculation, we're saying you should be saving more than you're paying. And then lastly, there's a lien on the property. So virtually if the homeowner doesn't pay you back, their home will go to tax sale or whatever the process is. So placing the lien is you're securing the loan.
we're just trying to.
Listen, it's a very complicated process, and it's
No, we're not, we're not
It's-
going to make a decision
it's
on
very
it.
new and it's
Yeah.
very different, but it's
It's really hard to say, we're going to borrow money and lend it out to people, because this is just me, we're not a bank, we're not, so my response would, I think it's a lovely program, don't get me wrong. But my response is go to the bank. If the bank can't fund you, then we probably shouldn't be using taxpayers' money but that's
yeah.
just, and that's just until I wrap my head around it.
definitely.
Right. Deputy?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. If we were interested, what would the next step be?
So the next steps are mainly to have a more personal meeting and kind of to actually lay out, because in the steps I'm giving to you, those are very high level. So next steps are having a conversation to discuss pricing and process in more detail. And then there does need to be a bylaw that starts to be passed, because that can take, typically a bylaw is what holds up the program starting, because it has to get passed through 2 or 3 readings.
Your worship and Jeff, is it worth pursuing the next step if that's what it is? And just,
Did you?
I'd like you to obviously, to allow yourself the opportunity to think about this, to have a look at the Solar City program that City of Halifax ran very successfully, and I believe won national awards for.
It did, yes.
And have entered a second phase of it, opening up to more technologies, and consider what this could be as a benefit to the community. You don't have to borrow for the money that you put up. There's lots of details around it. This first came to us in the form of looking at what Halifax had done so successfully and received FCM awards for in the Solar City vein, and looked interesting. We've looked into it, and in fact, the PACE program is a broader program, and all of the hard work that HRM did in creating their own communications and administrative processes. All of that's being handled by Efficiency Nova Scotia, and I guess the economies of scale, if 25 municipalities
Yes.
did this, they're doing the same work for 25 municipalities. We had referred this to our Green Energy Committee, but they're in the process of installing wind turbines on our behalf, and so this wasn't sort of top of their agenda. I've talked to people in other municipalities in the region who were interested in similar initiatives, and we talked about alignment and again economies of scale. Efficiency Nova Scotia in this case is providing, I guess, that level of support and ease that we would be seeking if we were looking at doing an intermunicipal arrangement around this. So I think it's something that adds values to homes, makes living maybe more comfortable, in the long run cheaper for the residents, and certainly in the short term no more expensive. It does require the town to take on a bit of risk in using either your reserves or your borrowing capacity. I think in HRM they used their borrowing capacity and their interest rate was slightly higher than the rate that municipalities received. So they covered their administration costs through that interest margin. In our case, we could look at how big a bite do you want to take, how much of a program do you want to offer, and look at our reserves and maybe earn interest on that at a rate better than we are right now. Or you could borrow and charge an interest rate slightly higher than what you're paying, and that money would go towards your future costs if you continue the program, that $9,000 fee. So there's options, but I encourage you to have a look at what Halifax has done and some of the information around that. That's the longest standing example in the province, and as I say, it was very successful.
And we do have, I have a very detailed proposal. It's about 15 pages, and it's a very detailed business proposal on the way the program would work and more specific details that if you're interested in reading, I can certainly pass along. It is, you know, there's a lot of, I will say, a lot of like energy language in there, but I certainly don't mind passing it along if you want to read more details on it, because it does get into a little bit of more nitty-gritty details, rather this was more high level.
So I'm interested in Jeff's response, and I'm interested in some sort of follow-up. So is it the Green Energy Committee, Jeff, that we would move to, or?
No, I think at this point, if you wish to, we can receive some more information from Amy, and I encourage you to go online and Google, Solar City, and there are videos that are online on YouTube about the program, and kind of educate yourself. And if you find good resources, share them. It was quite a while ago I shared a video that I found about it with council, and so I'll dig back, find that, and share it with you. And just think about the concept a bit, and we'll put it on our next committee of the whole agenda. And if it's something you're interested in, we can pursue it. If it isn't, then we can put it aside and.
So I'll support what Jeff has just responded to my question, Your Worship. So I'm prepared to receive more information from Amy, and perhaps it'll appear on May's Committee of the Whole agenda.
And the fact that the province has provided the funding and is willing to provide the first year costs really shows their how much they like the program, and they really want to see it successful, and they see it as really beneficial for Nova Scotians. So that alone, them providing that funding, is a really positive point for the program.
Yeah, just one other point on that is that the province did, believe they amended the HRM charter to allow them to do the Solar City program, and at the same time they amended the Municipal Government Act to allow other municipalities. Normally we can't lend money.
Yes.
Right? This is a specific instance in the Municipal Government Act where we can in fact loan money.
Yeah, it is no issue for you to borrow money from the municipality or MFC, sorry, or to lend money. Yeah, it's been changed.
Good. Danny?
Thank you, Your Worship. Would it be fair to ask staff to come back, look at this, and ask staff to come back with a recommendation to council on this PACE program, and make a recommendation to council? I mean, it's all good, and you're right that we should look at this, but I had the questions I asked them for a reason, and I had called you on this and was talking to you about it. I like what I read, and I like the answers that you gave, but I also would like from our finance department, because I spend money. I don't make a whole lot of money. I spend money, and with your expertise and Jerry's expertise, I think that staff could come back with a recommendation for council, and along with the information that we're going to get, and it could be at the next council meeting. Or if we're comfortable with the committee of the whole, so we can discuss it then. So I would make a motion that we direct staff to come back with a recommendation at the committee of the whole meeting, along with any other information that they gather. That is my motion. No, it's not the same.
Councillor Dan, I was just interested in getting more information. You want to go a step farther.
Yes, I do, yeah.
And so...
Did it already went through your motion already?
Well, I had no motion. There was no motion. Jeff,
Okay.
in conversation with myself.
Okay, well, I'm making the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we do both? Can we do what Councilor McIsaac's saying and just
Add
the
that
words
on there?
and that staff provide
Yeah.
more information
If he's
beforehand?
comfortable with that, yeah.
Yeah?
So information we're going to get prior to next meeting, so we can just look at it then. Yeah.
So
No, I want my motion to go through as I said it.
Oh, I'm going to support your motion.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to be prepared for the information, that's all, for the next meeting.
Yeah,
So we're going to do both.
Gonna do both.
Your motion is for staff to come back with a recommendation.
That's correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
And
And
I'll,
second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Aye, sorry. Contrary? Motion carried. And I need a motion from you for staff to provide more, for additional information to council before the next committee of the whole. Thank you. Can I have a seconder? Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question?
I can pass it along to Caroline.
That'd be great.
That's whose information I have,
Okay.
and
Get it-
then,
That's-
As long as we get it before the next council meeting, because I'm.
oh yeah, I'll send it
we're
tomorrow.
not, Yeah,
I'll send it to her tomorrow.
yeah.
Perfect.
Good. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank
right,
you,
thank you
Amy.
very much for having me.
Excellent. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, have a good day.
CAO report. Perfect. Fire department report.
My report was attached, but I also have some information, so if there are any questions about that.
I'm just looking at the medical calls went up 50%, the grass fires went up 40%, which I suppose is normal for
Which
this
is
time of
normal, yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
No
no,
question?
go ahead, chief.
Okay, I have some other information for you to be interested in. On the 4th of May, the fire department's going to be on In Focus at Eastlink at 18:30 hours. So if you're interested, it's information about the whole fire department, how it works, and we picked 4 different people so that they had a variance of who we have and what positions there are and what they do for the fire department. So I'm just encouraging everybody to watch it. If you have Eastlink, if you don't, I think you can stream it, I think they told me, but I don't know how to stream. So if you can do that, that'd be great.
May 4th at 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30 on the 4th of May.
May 4th at 6:30 in the evening
All right,
on In Focus.
Eastlink and
So
Focus.
that's in East Link.
And I'll check the date too and send an email out just in case I have it wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is the right
Yeah,
date.
that'd be helpful, then we can get I can post it
Oh,
in the
perfect.
town, put it
Right
on
on.
the town website.
Okay, thank you.
stuff
So
like
that's
that.
it?
That's great. Perfect. Any questions for the chief? Good staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief. Planning department. Hello, Caroline.
Hello. The planning department report was sent to you before this meeting. I also included some information on the Switch Open Street event that the planning department and the recreation department are trying to make happen. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask me now as well.
So last night at the community meeting, there was a lot of excitement about that.
Yes.
A lot of it, a lot of excitement. And so what's happening now, I think you know this, oh, you were all, well, almost everybody was there, but Sonia has a stack of papers, and I think some of those were people that had ideas about the Switch program. So she's going to take the information and put it into implementable programs, whatever belongs to Switch, and whatever else needs another team to implement it. So hopefully you're going to get some stuff out of that. And then we're going to do some social media stuff to make sure it gets out there, because I think people have been screaming this for years.
That
Let's
would be
shut down
great.
Main Street and have some fun.
So it's still in concept form right now. We do want to go and speak to the business owners and the property owners along Main Street and along the route that we're proposing and make sure that they're supportive of the idea. So Frank and I are going to walk Main Street on Monday, and we're hoping we'll get the support we need to move it forward, because it is a great idea.
Yeah, I'd love to know if there's not. Only because, you know, when the streets closed down for the car show, it was, as I understand it from business owners, it was the most successful day of the year. That it was crazy busy. So we need, that's what we're trying to create. Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm excited about this. Anyone who's ever taken part in this is excited about it, looking forward to it. Now, all through the presentation, I keep seeing Sundays, and part of me is excited about it, but part of me is also very leery of that, because we're not a metropolis, and not too many people can either either, now, not too many people even take the time to come back into town on a Sunday. Is there any possibility to consider doing this on Saturdays as an extension to what already is going on in town during the summer, especially the, on the waterfront and also the farmer's market?
Absolutely. Although the idea of doing it on a Sunday is to address exactly what you just said, the fact that there aren't a lot of people who come into town, so we were going to try and generate more traffic.
Yes.
On a day that businesses traditionally don't get a lot of business, so we could give a reason for them to be open.
And I completely agree with you, but I have a little worry that says, are some stores going to even bother to open on Sunday? They're open on Saturday, they're used to it. You're nodding like you're hoping and agreeing with me too, that they will?
I'm hoping they will. I guess I'm going to have a better feel for that after we walk and speak to the business owners on Monday. I think it's a great idea either way. I don't care what day we do it on, but the theory behind it is that you do it on a Sunday because it's supposed to generate traffic to a downtown that you wouldn't normally get.
So it's a catch-22. You don't have the people downtown on a Sunday because there's nothing to do, right? But when you provide something to do, and it's, so this is great. Good.
I just don't
Yeah.
see much promise in, no, I've done my time. I've done my time.
Deputy?
I just wanted to encourage the process, Caroline. I wonder if you need to somehow reach the people by email or social media before you make that call on Monday. Let them know that you're going to be coming down the street to see them. All the owners and or managers may not be there Monday. Don't want you to waste your time. You can make good use of your time by sort of letting them know you may be coming or when you're coming approximately. Or going to leave information indicating.
The plan was to leave the information if they weren't there so they could call.
Okay. Thank you.
I love it. Awesome. Councillor Dennis, what's that?
You won't know till you try.
It's awesome. I think it's great.
I just want to thank you, Caroline, and your team for this because I think it's been long overdue. I know since I've been on Main Street, it's something that we always wanted to do, but some people complained about it, so I'm hoping that everybody will. And Sunday, I think, is a great day because I'm open on Sunday, and I know there's not a lot of traffic around, and I know next door is open on Sunday, so there is some shops open on Sunday. So if we could get other ones to open, and if we actually have activities, that's going to bring people to the downtown. And it is a day that most people have leisurely time to actually come downtown and enjoy festivities if we actually have them there. So I think it's a good plan.
So let me ask this. It's a great idea, and some of the business owners say no. We're going to do it anyway.
I guess that's up to you.
Okay.
Ideally, I'd like to make sure that most of the property owners are on board with it, because it has a lot of benefits for them, but it also could be disruptive, so it's important that they all be on board. So let me talk to them and feel it out and see what's happening, and then we can reevaluate.
Yeah, okay, good. No, but, I mean, and it's like Madeline said, we need them to be open too, though.
Yeah, that's important.
I wasn't going to speak to this again, but I will. But therein lies the conundrum. Sunday, yes, take your family, go out, come downtown, spend some money, take in an event or be entertained. But also, there will be people that will say, no, this is family time. My family's coming. We have our weekly or family dinner. We go to church, and so therein lies the conundrum. And once you lose the people, once they leave Main Street or leave town, it's very difficult to pull them back in again. But I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I think we're providing something for families, so we're yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
good.
If council would like it to be on a Saturday,
No.
I can do that as well. Just
No, Sunday's good. Sunday's everybody's free day. after church. That's the afternoon. We don't want to start it till afternoon. Hi, Cecil. Okay, thanks, Caroline. Any other questions for Caroline? Yeah. Okay, operational. No report, but I have a question. It's down there under D, 8D. Municipality of Yarmouth ATV access along Water Street. Can we go there, since you're here?
Sure.
Where are we? Do you know? With the ATVs on Water Street? We can't do
Not
that?
permitted, there's still a law that prohibits ATV travel on streets. You have to be in the ditch with an ATV in order to travel within the right-of-way. It's not permitted, so
Should have got Michelle when he asked.
currently, we can't do anything about it.
Okay, we'll fix that. All right. Any questions for Dave? Sorry, I didn't even see that.
No, I just put it on.
Yeah.
Since you're going there, on that request, you went there already, so
Yeah.
I would say that my question would be to Jeff. Jeff, on that letter from the municipality, can we get some correspondence that we had over the last 2 or 3 years and give that to the municipality, like the traffic authority from UNSM, from the province, from the Ministry of Transportation and all that, where we looked into it before for the last 3, 4, actually 7 years. This has been going on, 4 years previous and almost 3.5 years this term. So we should have some documentation that we could send off to the warden of the municipality, the copies of all the information that we have. With that, could I make that motion? To get staff to send that information to the warden?
Yeah, we can, excuse me, if your motion passes, we can send that information. You know, the letter talks about beginning a conversation, but as you said, we've been supporting that for a few years now.
Yeah, quite a few years. So if we could gather that up, Jeff, I make a motion that we ask staff to direct copies of that to the warden, Murray Goodwin of the municipality.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. That doesn't mean it's the end of the story, though. Just so. We're gonna have ATVs through this town somehow.
You already do now, but they're illegally driving on the streets.
Yeah. We can't do it without provincial approval.
No, if this council chooses to support it, maybe what they ought to look at, instead of Water Street, they should support it right across Nova Scotia. I mean, they go on any street, not just limited to one street. If you're going to share the noise and the pollution, I'd like to have it all over town instead of just in one area. No, seriously, that's a fact.
Yeah, and the money.
No, money, okay. We won't get into the money part of it, but anyway, if that's what we're going to do, then we should encourage UNSM and FCM, you know, to get on board and have it so that they're legal, period, in any town, any road, anywhere.
I think
That's my thought.
That's where it is, I think. Councillor Dennis?
Well, at the UNSM, when we made the motion passed, but it was for us to be able to join the 2 trails, and also that municipalities would have the right to be able to say whether you allowed ATVs or not, and that did pass at the UNSM.
But that, yeah, so.
But
so
it
the
didn't
next-
pass through the government
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. Good, thanks. All right. Anything else for Dave? That's right. I'll come to work on a full reader. You must do. Okay. Finance. Later?
You'll probably want to later.
Okay. Good with later, though, Jerry? Okay. Recreation? There. Economic Development, Natalie. Natalie and her team. Welcome.
They were cheerleading to me. Right there. Has this gotten taller? Yeah, it's true. That's tall. You did that on purpose. So first I'd like to introduce our two co-op students that are in their final year at NSCC in the business and marketing end. So I'd like to introduce Sarah Pierce and Jasmine Harry.
Welcome, ladies.
Sarah's project over the next 5 weeks is to work with me on developing some real estate content that we can talk about or that I've provided in my staff report. And Jasmine's working on communications and media and some website development with regards to economic development. So that's what they're doing over the next 5 weeks.
Excellent. Have fun.
So I've provided my staff report. I have one presentation after any questions, and I think a later 9E, I believe, a request for decision on the tender for wayfinding. Are there any questions with the, from the staff report?
No? So, what else? You have a presentation?
Yes, this is a follover from the last council session with
Mr.
regards
Mosaic?
to the Mosaic program, so I'd just
Okay.
like to very quickly run through that, if
Certainly. Go
you would
ahead.
allow me to.
Yep.
I provided you with the request for decision that we provided at the last council meeting, as well as a PDF on the program, but very quickly, the federal government has a group that has created an incentive called the Canada 150 Mosaic Mural Participation Program. The program is nationwide. Acceptance to the program is first come, first serve, and within each province or territory, they are selecting between 5 and 15 communities. So in the province of Nova Scotia, that might be closer to the 5 to 10. What it really is this great, awesome group of artists that have been doing murals. And the murals, to take place, they would come, they would work with us, our community, to design what that overall look would look like. And then we would decide what size of mural that we would want to invest in. So I've identified there's an 8 feet by 8 feet or an 8 by 12. One is 12,500 is the total cost for the project, and the other one is 15,000. So they would come, they would work with us for a couple of days, and depending on the size that you choose, it's the number of tiles. So that could be between 400 or 750 tiles. And the goal is that each person that wants to participate in your community would have their own tile, and then they would create on that. And then they would complete the process in such a way that that tile is somewhat weatherproof, and then they create the mosaic. So if we were to pursue it and be selected, then we would have to identify a space within our community, indoors or outdoors. They suggest indoors is the best, because then you have more of a permanency, that this mosaic could be displayed and hopefully cherished within your community. So that's really the part of the program. There is some potential funding through the Atlantic Region Department of Canadian Heritage Office, and that grant could be up to 75% of your project cost. Again, there's limited funds, and it's not necessarily first come, first serve, it's when it runs out. So once we make the decision and you would like staff to go ahead with that, then I would proceed.
Okay, so what are we thinking? Oh, Councillor Dennis?
I was just wondering, can this mural go outside, or is it just for inside?
It could do either. So some communities have a particular public space that they have the mural. It could be commemorative, whatever it is we like. So it can be outside as well as inside.
Have we picked the location if we decide where it
We
would
have
go?
not done anything, so I thought it should be first approved by council, and then we would get the appropriate organizations. It would be something that would be great. The Arts Society or the Art Gallery, they certainly have a lot of resources in this area, but I haven't gone further than coming to you with this presentation.
And I'll ask Danny's question. Would we have the funding aside for this? Or with 15,000, either 12,500 or 15,000? Would that go into our budget?
Right, so the budget isn't set yet, that's coming up later, and I'm not going to steal Jerry's thunder, but, and you're not going to make a decision on this
No.
today, but
Right.
if you want to consider it within the budget process, what's the timeline on this, timeline to make a decision?
Yes. Oh, sooner the better. So on the federal level, they're running out of space because other communities have, so the sooner the better, so that I can at least send back to the federal group, the Mosaic group, that we're interested, and then they would send us the documentation. So I would go back to them and say it would be 2 weeks from now, should you wish.
So what would we do? Refer to budget, or? Okay, I'll make a motion to refer to budget.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Deputy?
I just had a question. If the Mosaic, if we agreed and went through the process, could it be indoors this year and outdoors next year, or is it once it's planted or secured, it can't be moved? Are you aware
I
of that?
believe it could be moved because it's actually affixed to another structure
Yeah,
that then would be installed because it's multiple tiles.
yeah,
So, yes.
8 by 8.
Okay. Good. Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. So you get that? Put it to budget? Yep.
So maybe just one comment from last night. So last night at the tourism stakeholders special meeting, we actually had over 70 persons attending, of which greater than 60 of them were actually businesses, community organizations, and events organizations. So that's really, when you think about the audience that we're trying to attract, I think I was very surprised that we had greater than 50, but that we had that quality. Okay.
Last time somebody told me to set up 30 chairs, I needed 500.
We did
did
good.
good.
We sold out the room. So yeah, that I think says a lot about our community's confidence in the town, as well as in our tourism association. So we're showing them that we have confidence in them to make the right types of investment for the community and the town infrastructure. And in turn, they're showing us confidence by attending those meetings and taking it seriously about what they need to do in order for us to come together. So I think that's a great takeaway from last night.
Yes, great. Thanks, Natalie. Okay, we are into business. So Councillor Mooney put on the bursary. Go ahead.
Can, Your Worship, can we table this to the next council meeting, the bursary one? Phil, it was Phil's,
Yes,
unless you want to deal with it now.
well, it's not, but it's supposed, should go through here to get to the
Okay,
council
okay.
table. That's-
Then I move that the town of Yarmouth rename its annual bursary to the Town of Yarmouth Ken Langell Memorial Bursary. I move.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
Question.
Question's been called.
Thank you, Jim.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Bylaw questions. Oh, sorry. That's gone. Vacant buildings bylaw amendment. CAO?
Yeah, really looking for direction here. The issue we have with the vacant buildings bylaw is that, is the boarding up section. The boarding up section requires council's approval for any building to be boarded up with the one-year permit. And what I'm asking is, do you want to consider vesting that authority within staff so that we don't have to bring those applications back here? We can deal with them at the staff level like just about any other sort of development application that you might have.
So, yes, definitely. But how long did you say? Boarding up?
The permits are for 1 year.
So, wait a second.
They're renewable.
He reads my mind. Okay, so. So how quickly do we board up places? Keep the light on. And then Danny's gonna ask questions. You're good.
No, you can go ahead.
How quickly, I'm not sure I understand the question.
I mean, places that need to be boarded up.
Vacant buildings?
Vacant, that's it.
Right.
Vacant buildings.
Well, we don't board buildings up as a rule. Buildings that are vacant and secure don't need to be boarded up. What happens is that either a property owner takes the initiative and says, well, my building is going to be vacant and I'm a little worried about people entering my building or damaging my windows, and so they would take the initiative to request to board up. The other scenario that often plays out is that a building is not boarded up and a window or a door is broken, so now it's not secure, and so it is a hazard for fire, and so the fire inspector would order that the building be secured and often boarded up. So sometimes when that has occurred in the past, our bylaw enforcement officer has gotten involved when the owner either wasn't able to be contacted or didn't act on the direction of the fire inspector to then board it up and place the costs against the property as a lien.
Okay, so that's where I was going.
Okay.
You know, the people that just don't do what they're supposed to do or do the right thing, we just want to make sure it's taken care of quickly, from my perspective.
Right, and so the primary concern is when a building becomes, when the security of the building is sort of breached through a broken window or a broken door, it becomes a concern for the fire inspector, and in that case, the timeline to get it done, we want to get it done very quickly. I talked to the fire inspector about council's regular schedule, because obviously we want those buildings that are boarded up to be properly done through our bylaw, if possible. The 2 weeks caused him some concern, so that brought me to the question of maybe we could vest that authority within the bylaw enforcement officer, and he could issue the permit, and it could be done by the owner in a very prompt and efficient manner.
Okay, thank you. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Jeff, on the, I'm in agreement with let staff handle that, by the way, but my question is, we have homes already that I brought up a few times that are boarded up, and they've been boarded up for a few years. Would that take that in also, like if we go this route, or they're not going to be grandfathered or anything? I mean, we have had houses that were burnt and some other damages, whatever. They've been there for quite some time, 2 or 3 years. So how would that relate to those particular houses and going down the road? Would they be forced to put windows or whatever in? I don't know, but maybe you can answer.
We'd have to look at those case-by-case basis rather than just a blanket statement. I think it depends on the situation. Yeah.
Good, okay, so. Whenever I press the button, it's whoever's light goes on first.
I just have a question, CAO. In the bylaws, is there anything about when they board up a building, about actually painting the boards rather than just putting up plywood?
Yeah, there is.
Because it's nice to have something that's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, I know that was discussed at council before, and I don't recall if that particular measure passed. So I'd have to look that up.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. And now, is just a blanket agreement acceptable, or are you looking for a motion, Mr. CAO?
Looking for a motion.
So all I was looking for was direction here, because in order to do this, it requires a bylaw amendment to insert that language that the council, that authority would be exercised by the bylaw enforcement officer. So for the next council meeting, for the May council meeting, we'll bring forward the amendment for the bylaw. I just wanted to know
Fine.
whether I would be marched out of the room if I showed up with it unannounced.
No, so we will be dealing with that in its finality next time, is that right?
Yes. Okay. Cell phones in the workplace. Anybody else?
So, how to introduce this? I don't know. No.
Excuse me, I didn't even bring mine today.
No, we don't actually have currently any policy that talks about cell phone usage within the workplace, and so we've had different situations where this has become a topic of discussion, and so I went out, sought a policy that thought might be applicable. Again, this is for information today, because what's required under the MGA is if you are to approve a policy, you require the policy 7 days ahead. And so it doesn't require, and I wouldn't expect you at this moment to make the recommendation to council unless you felt comfortable. Otherwise, it would appear on the May council meeting for your consideration.
So just to be clear?
Yep.
This is for staff.
Absolutely. It's not for the general public.
It's not for the general public, and it's not for
The mayor?
mayor or council.
Right.
Yeah. Right?
And I guess to go further, just to carry on here, also the next policy around social media is also a policy related to staff, and it's the same deal. We've had discussions and thought we should have a policy in place, and we sought a good example, found one, and we'll be bringing it forward at the May council meeting. If you have any questions, comments, observations, or insults, we could deal with them now.
Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I have no insults, but I do have a question. When it comes to social media now, I'm going to take Facebook as an example, because that's the only one that I'm on which I share information and pictures and events, whatever. And occasion has presented itself when I have had to ask one or two staff to go onto my Facebook page, copy a picture that I had posted, or to get information off of that. Would that now be taboo under this?
No, the town of Yarmouth uses social media. We have Twitter accounts and we have Facebook accounts.
All right.
So we do use social media for our business purposes.
Good.
And so if you have photographs that are relevant to the work, then sharing those photographs is perfectly acceptable if it promotes the interests of the town.
All right. And
The issue is more that people have both personal social media accounts, as well as some people manage or work with town accounts, and it's just there's an awareness here that your personal social media is not.
It's personal.
It's personal and should be dealt with in personal time. However, if the interests of the town are in any way compromised through your personal use of your personal account as an employee, there are consequences for that.
Very well, thank you very much.
I love them both.
Question. So, like sometimes we're out on the street and we'll see like Public Works or Parks guys out there doing something. We take a picture, we put it on Facebook and just thank the guys for what they're doing. Is that wrong? Are you okay with that?
Member of the public, I can certainly do that. And when we're in public space, we're viewable. What we're asking in the policy is that we not do that unless we have permission. So we do lots of good things, and we like to share that information with the public. Photographs are a great way of conveying information. I remember one recently of a Public Works staff member installing a bus stop sign. You know, perfect. As long as we have his permission to use
Okay,
his
their
picture.
permission,
That's
not
all it
yours.
is. It's just about permission
Okay.
and not putting people in a position as an employee. Another employee may not feel comfortable with their picture being shared around social media.
Okay, perfect.
But it still isn't us. Yeah. And no, and you're right, and we should even, if we're taking pictures, should ask permission. Yeah. Ah! Okay, good stuff, by the way. Excellent. Okay, next. Town of Yarmouth operational budget. Now, let's skip that. So, is there anything, are we gonna be here for a bit for that?
Well, you may want to, if these other things are,
I'm just wondering, I mean, if the tiny houses and stuff like that,
that stuff done.
if you don't mind, if you're good with that, okay? Dave's gonna hang around, see if he's got any money to fix the potholes. Right, Dave?
I don't look after potholes.
That's right. And neither do I, but if I had a nickel for every request, I could probably fill them all. Okay, so let's go right to tiny houses. Caroline, if you want to bring us up to speed on that? Go ahead. What's that? You what? Oh, okay.
So this report is a result of the March 10th council meeting where council moved that the matter of the Town of Yarmouth incorporating tiny home regulations through the land use bylaw and planning strategy be referred to the Planning Advisory Committee. So this is the report that was brought to the Planning Advisory Committee. The consultants who are working on the municipal planning strategy review, they'd already made recommendations that we allow a variety of housing types and the kind of areas that we should allow and the kind of regulations that should be put on that. So I just, as part of this report, I put in the new policies that they've proposed. They're here already. It's looking at allowing this kind of thing to happen. Tiny homes are usually built in a community setting. You get quite a few on one property, and they have shared services, shared kitchens or communal spaces, storage spaces, that kind of thing. So the new policies, the new planning policies would have to address that. They're recommending that we permit this kind of development to happen in the areas where there isn't a lot of development already happening in the town, so they wouldn't be impacting the character of our existing neighborhoods. They're cool. Tiny houses and communities, they address a lot of social issues and provide for a lot of opportunities for residents that they may not be able to have without this style of housing. So I think it's really neat. I'd like to see it move forward. The Planning Advisory Committee has been really focused on all the other changes in the municipal planning strategy at the moment, so I haven't gotten their full input on this yet, but it'll be part of it before they make the recommendation to council that they adopt the draft municipal planning strategy.
So is the idea you're bringing this forward for information today?
Exactly.
Okay.
Phil.
And then it goes to PAC, and then it comes back to council.
Yeah, it'll come back as part of, it'll come back in June as part of the new municipal planning strategy that's proposed. So when it comes time to adopt that, these policies will be integrated in there. But because there's so many policies that we're looking at and strategies, this is just highlighting how some specific strategies would support this type of development.
Good.
Yeah.
Great, thanks, Caroline.
It was a big hit at the Sustainable Communities Conference.
They're really cool.
Really, yes.
Yeah, and our town building official, there's a memo here from her as well, looking at them from a building code perspective. She was at a conference recently with other building officials in the province, and there was a group there that presented about tiny homes and houses and some of the issues they're having with planning regulations. And she told them that the town was investigating allowing this kind of development to happen through our planning regulations, and that group was really excited and said that it would actually make Yarmouth very appealable to them to come and develop in this area, because we would be leading in that kind of policy.
Great. Yeah, excellent. Okay, thanks, Caroline. Home-based businesses. Do you want to do this? This is Lorelei, but.
I don't have a report in front of me, but it's been brought up with the province that a number of municipalities have requested that they look at the building code regulations when it comes to home-based business. And we've run into some issues in the town ourselves where, depending on the type of home-based business, even if we allow it through our planning regulations, that when the building code kicks in, the requirements that they may need, such as fire separation, fully separated from the actual living quarters, the expense that comes with that, that's assuming that they're actually able to renovate their home in the manner that's required. It can prohibit a lot of home-based businesses from starting up and occurring. So the province is looking at changing those regulations and being less stringent with the building code when it comes to businesses that are occurring at home. Laurelie's general recommendation is that she supports it, thinks it's a good idea. It would do a lot of good for the town. I believe she made a recommendation in there for feedback that council should provide to the province. That was part of the request that she received. So that's in there.
Great. Any questions? Councillor Dennis?
Do we recommend this to council? So I'll make a motion to recommend to council to support the proposed changes to the building code regulations.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
That council provide the following feedback, you mean? Okay. A building permit is not required for home-based businesses if all the following criteria are not met. And to remove the word may and replace it with shall. Good? Thank you.
Good. Still seconded? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Tender burn, we're going to skip Jen. Okay. For action, UNSM Municipal Energy Learning Group. Okay, this was a letter. This, we don't need to do anything with it. Yeah, okay. This is just correspondence. Okay, Chad re-veteran status.
Sorry, what happened to the tender?
No, we're not.
All right. If you
No, we're.
said that you had, then I didn't hear.
So we went to tender on the Brown Cliff Street sewer separation project. We do have an application in to the province through the Build Canada Fund. We've recently, Mr. Ernst has updated our cost projections for that. The tenders were closed and opened, and we have a low tender that is within our expected budget. What we don't have at this point is an answer from the province concerning our application for funding. We were looking for a significant amount of money, a couple $1 million on this one, and with the information that there may be in the near future, we had hoped to have an answer before the tender's closed. The timing hasn't quite worked out that way, so my suggestion is you defer a decision on this. Mr. Ernst is going to ask the low bidder to extend the period of time for which their price is available for acceptance, and we will and have already today been in touch with the province concerning our time concern on this application. So at this point, I'd ask that you just defer that item until we have more information.
You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I move that we defer this till we get the rest of the information that Jeff is seeking for this.
Good. Moved and seconded. Discussion? Questions been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. So, veteran status for Chad Hersey. So, a motion is in order to do that, eh? Okay? Put your light on. Lights from here on out, because it's a fight over emotions. It's crazy. It's like children. It's crazy. Well, it is, but we said a long time ago, put lights on, and I never do that. Okay, so, where's the light? I know, but where's the light? I need a light I need a motion that we grant veteran status to Chad Hersey. That simple? Not unless he wants to make it
Go
further.
ahead. Go ahead. I'm
Your light's on.
I'm not going to fight over a motion.
I'm going to tell you something else. I'll tell you something else. When people's lights go on, that's who talks.
Okay, well, there's two
Okay.
lights. Okay.
Your light- No, there's one. There's only one at a time. I know.
No, and I got to find where the motion is. That for Mr., who is it? Mr.
Chad Hersey.
Mr. who?
Chad Hersey.
Okay, Chad Hersey. I move that we give veteran status to Chad Hersey.
Moved and seconded.
Now my
Sandy, I
light.
got what you said before.
No.
Your worship. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Municipality of Yarmouth, we've dealt with that one. Mariner Center budget submission. We do that now? Mariner Center Management Authority approved budget recommended. Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to refer the Mariner Center budget to budget. Councillor Dodds?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would make the motion to refer the Mariner Center budget to our budget.
Seconder, please. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Some previously distributed. We've got RFP town wayfinding signage. Do I have that? I must. There it is. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Thought you were asking me.
So, Your Worship, Natalie can speak to this. She's here on this topic. Just for the sake of timing, you may want to call a special council meeting after this meeting in order to endorse your recommendation, whatever it might be on this.
Okay? Go ahead, Natalie.
This is the culmination of about 3 months of work related to the design of our wayfinding and information signage system. We issued a tender on April we had it on March 24th, and we had a closing of April 12th. There were 6 proposals received. We formed a review committee that comprised of staff, as well as Forum Media, that's our design firm. And we reviewed the tender responses based on the lowest cost proposal, but in combination with satisfactory submission of project implementation schedule, contractor experience, qualifications, and providing all requirements as per the RFP. You'll see below the list of contractors. They were varied, one as far as Ontario. Our recommendation is the lowest tender, Day-Night Signs out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And that is for the fabrication as well as services for installation.
Good. Okay. Can I have that motion, please? Deputy? Or somebody else got a light on? I keep pressing the light. Okay, go ahead.
I'll make that a motion that we accept the tender from Day Night.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay. Relocation of mailboxes. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple pictures in your package. We've had a request from Canada Post to add more of these community mailboxes to the site, where there is currently one on our property on Prospect Street. They've had some issues. Well, they'd hoped to locate one out in Hebron, and that didn't pan out. And they've also, I guess, decided that some other people should be on these group boxes, and so there are a couple they're looking to install. They say they maintain the lots in the area so that their customers can access the mailboxes, and there is no compensation back to the town for this, so they're looking for a lease, and I told them I'd have to discuss this with council to make sure you were okay with that use for the property.
Jeff, on that particular issue there, what happens if we sell the property or the lot or whatever? How does that work with the leasing agreement? Have we thought of that part? I don't know, just because the land, the building it's up in the back, right? The higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how that would work. You'd have to write you have to write in some agreement, I would think, perhaps.
Yeah, either you would address the event of a sale of the property, or you would have some clause in there to cancel with some notice period, and so if it transferred to the new owner and they wish to cancel it, they could cancel it.
Okay, so what I'll make a motion that we direct staff to negotiate with the people in question and work out the best deal for the town of Yarmouth. That's my motion.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And we did the red carpet. Request for decision taxes from properties sold for development.
So this is just it almost feels a bit like a housekeeping item. The town owns, through some of our corporations, we jointly own some properties with our partnering municipal neighbors, and one of them is on Water Street, the Domtex property, of course, all the port properties. We have the airport property, and probably others I'm not thinking of. So recently, we've had a few examples of opportunities to talk about potential sale of those properties for development purposes. And what we've discovered, because it hasn't happened much in the past, what we've discovered is that all of our interests as partners are not aligned equally. So in a case where a property is in the town of Yarmouth, and let's use the Domtex as an example, it's much more in our interest if we make a sale to a private developer and the development happens, we get tax revenue. Now, in the process of preparing that property for sale, we are all contributing equally to the improvement or the preparation of that property for sale. So we all invest, and at the end of the day, only one benefits. And that is where the inequity lies, and it doesn't seem fair. And so I've talked about this. I didn't raise it, but I've talked about it with a couple of my colleagues from our partnering municipalities, and we all kind of agree that there is this inequity that if we resolved it, it would make, for the long term, for the betterment of the relationship, I think it would resolve an issue before it really becomes an issue. So kind of looking for your direction to proceed to negotiate an amendment to our municipal tax agreement that would contemplate sharing future tax revenues when properties are sold.
Councillor McIsaac?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I recommend that, it is recommended that the staff be looking to the operations of 3 municipal units jointly together sharing the tax basis of the shared properties. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, so there's a recommendation there on the request for decision, Linda, you can take it off that. Municipalities.
Where is it at? It's on-
It's right on the,
Right here, okay.
yeah.
Okay, the recommendation is recommended that the municipalities amend our tax sharing agreement to provide for the sharing of future tax revenues from the properties jointly held by the parties at the time, and the initial agreement was signed and sold to the third party. Yeah, or fourth party, whatever.
Question's been called, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Excellent, that one, I love that one. Okay, not that I don't like them all. Anything else, anyone? Because, yes.
Jeff, with regard to the motion we just passed, the other 2 municipal units are doing the same thing.
So we've all talked about it, you know, myself and my colleagues, and we kind of all agree that there's an element of fairness that's missing and that this would be a way of resolving it. But nobody had a mandate from our councils to sort of get it done. So I'm taking the initiative to have a mandate from our council, so now I can say to my colleagues, I have a mandate, let's get this done. And the result of that discussion, negotiation, will go to the 3 councils for approval as an amendment to our existing agreement.
There shouldn't be any disagreement.
I don't think so, given
Yeah.
kind of where we are with things. I
Yeah.
think there are examples, there are a couple of examples, there were 3, but 1 fell off the table. There are a couple of examples where this could become a divisive issue between the parties, and I'm just thinking let's resolve it before it becomes that.
I think it would be nice to have an agreement because it would make the whole life as we proceed through the next decade or 2 a whole lot easier. Thank you.
Agreed. Good, so we're finished that, so Jerry, I guess you're up. Anybody need a glass of water, 2-minute break,
Stretch, wake up.
couple ibuprofen before Jerry starts? Just let's take 2 minutes.